Myriam, Myriam. Hi there, it's me. And the time has finally come to make the challenge video for Myriam. You might have seen all the other challenges that we did together, and in case you did not, you really should watch them first, just to get a flow. And therefore just head over to my dear friend Myriam, which is Myriams Nature. So check out her channel as well. She does amazing stuff, and this is actually the ultimate challenge for you, Myriam. You know, we've done so many projects already, and I thought, what can I challenge her with? She's already that awesome. And so I just decided to make the ultimate challenge, which will combine all the materials that we've ever used in our videos in one piece. Just to make this clear, it is going to contain sand. It is going to contain resin. It is going to contain a space scene. We all love the space scenes, right? It is going to contain glitter, because glitter makes everything much better. Hey, don't forget about the glass. It also contains glass nuggets. It will contain a special ingredient which you will see at the very end, so you will have to watch the video until the very end, and please do not cheat and jump just forward. Yeah, I just did not use alcohol inks because I don't have any. But other than that, I pretty much used everything. So I really hope you enjoy watching the video. I hope you like the end result, and Myriam, I honestly can't wait to read your comment. And yeah, then it's up to you challenging me back. So enjoy watching, and until later. As this project is rather complex, I decided to shorten things up a bit and just guide you through the creation process. For each of the steps that I'm doing, I made a video for more details in other projects that I did and already uploaded to my channel. So if you're interested in seeing more details on the swiping technique or the adding sand to something technique or the resining technique whatsoever, just have a look at my channel and I have you covered there in the one or another video. So in the very first step, I decided for the surface that I'm going to work on, and this is an MDF board. It is sized 60 by 80 centimeters, so a rather large one. And if I had a chance, I would have opted for a 1 centimeter thick one, so a thicker one than I actually use here. This is just easier in the very end because this is not likely to bend as easily as this only 5 millimeter thick one. When the surface was chosen, I taped the edges. This is just duct tape or T-Rex tape, and this will actually prevent the resin from flowing over the edges, as well as the sand mixture which I'm going to use for the hill area in the very front. So I also painted the background black. This will help me, as this is supposed to be a space scene anyways, and the pigments from the resin are better visible on a darker background, at least for my experience so far. When this was drying, I put it aside and continued with pouring the planet. I knew that I wanted to have a planet on there, and as this is a rather large one, I decided to use the same technique as I did for last Myriam's challenge and grabbed a piece of Yupo paper, decided for the colors that I wanted to have, and basically just swiped it. So I added the colors, added some silicone, and used another sheet of Yupo paper just to swipe over it. This went pretty quickly, pretty easily, and after torching I had all the cells that I needed, and I put this aside to dry as well. As the Yupo paper does not really soak up water, this is the beauty of it, it really takes a long time for this to dry. So to have everything completely dried, this took about 1.5 days, so enough time for me to continue on with the next steps. And the next step was mixing the sand. I have done this on my resin beach scenes all over, so if you like to check this out. But basically in this case here, this is just some aquarium sand mixed with PVA glue and some black acrylic paint. I wanted it to be black because it's a night scene. If you want to go for whatever other color, you can of course mix whatever other color you would like to use for the sand. And once this was mixed, I sketched in the mountains or hills, whatever, I think it's mountains. And once that was completed, I added the sand to the piece. I wanted to create some kind of 3D look. At this point I wasn't really sure if I will resin over it or if I leave it as it is, just the sand. In the very end I'm going to resin over it because the part of the resin flew over it, so it looked a bit weird if I only had a couple of those mountains resined and the others not. But if I would have managed to have these hills thick enough, elevated enough in the first place to not allow the resin to flow over it, I would have left it unresined. So when the sand was applied, I used a small palette knife to even it out a bit, and this works best if you add a little bit of water on top of it. This will smoothen out everything and gives you a better end result unless you really want to have the texture. This again had to dry a bit. As this was only a thin layer of sand mixture, everything went beautifully. If you have a thicker layer of mixture, you should not put it directly in the sun because it's going to crack eventually. Like in every other paint, this is happening. So if the layer is thin, you're good to put it outside in the sun and to let it dry quicker. If it's really thick, you should not do that. For the background itself, which is eventually becoming the space itself, I again used my loved airbrush and the bubble stencil which I've used in previous projects before. In case you do not own an airbrush, you really do not have to buy one. If you have some acrylic spray bottles, they work pretty much the same and they are pretty affordable, so you can just use them. I also cut out my planet in the design that I wanted and make it fit to the surface. For the planet, of course, make sure that you have a highlighted and a darkened side of the planet. This will just make it look more three-dimensional at the very end. So if I would have left the acrylic poured planet like it was, it would have looked a bit more flat in the very end. Of course, if the sun is shining directly onto it, it can look like that, but I personally love when you have this really 3D look to it. When this was done, I glued the planet to the board and therefore I just used some more PVA glue. You can also use just acrylic paint to glue it down, whatever you prefer. As you were wondering about these strange mountains that I did in the foreground, I will come to those now. I did wanted them to look like mountains, of course, but I wanted it to be like as if there are some cities in between the valleys. So I wanted them to look as if there was light emitted from the valleys. It's really hard to explain in English, but you will see in a second what I had in mind. And now comes the special ingredient which I did not tell you in the very beginning. And this is night coloring paint, or pigments in this case. So when I added my first layers of acrylics to have the overall look, I decided to use the night coloring pigments just because it might look awesome. I was not sure at this point. They will eventually glow in a light blue when charged with sunlight or a light source in general. And to apply them, I just mixed them with a bit of glitter, the light coloring pigments, and I used my acrylic varnish to mix them, just to make it easier for me to apply this into the valleys. And after all those preparations were done, it was time to let everything completely dry, because now it was time to add the first layer of resin. And therefore I mixed my resin. It was again the cheaper resin because I needed quite a lot of it. And yeah, added the first layer. It was just clear one. Waited a bit and I added the pigment mixed resin as well. I again used the blue, the gold and the white pigment because this turned out pretty pretty in my last attempt, so I wanted to use this again. I added the resin and used the straw to blow it around just to get the effect that I was looking for. And yeah, this is actually the result that I'm achieving. I just let you watch without commenting because you can see what I do. And in the very end, there is not so much more to tell about the overall process. When the first layer was completely cured, I decided to make another second layer of resin over it just to have a more solid and smooth coverage because of the texture that the sand was actually creating. So it is a bit bumpy overall. I could have added more layers of resin to finally have it completely even, but I really did not bother. It's art, you know? So as usual, I make the small video how it looks in the very end and some photos, and I will also show you a photo of the night glowing effect, which I filmed in our bathroom. It was pretty hard to film though, because the camera did not really catch it, but I think you get a point, and I think it really looks awesome when it's charged with light. So yeah, I really hope you liked the end result. I hope you liked watching and had fun watching. If you like to do something similar on your own, just make sure to tag me on Instagram or Facebook. I would really love to see what you come up with. And of course, Myriam, I hope you liked this. I hope you liked the idea behind it, and I can't wait to read your comment again. So if you're new to my channel and this was something you found interesting, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to not miss out any of my new coming videos. Therefore, please also click the bell icon to get notifications. If there are any questions, as usual, please leave me in the comment box below and I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. And also, as usual, all the materials that I've used are linked in the description box below the video, as well as my social media. And other than that, I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great day. Bye bye.